Okay. Welcome back to Dreamers to Disruptors. We are coming to you live from New York. We are here at Medidata Next, and I'm actually really excited to be with the three of you. We have Bob, Ja, and Bryant here. And the cool part about what we're about to do is that the four of us really do have this conversation on a daily basis, I would think. So we're going to spend a little bit of time today talking about the introduction of AI into life sciences. And I think I'm going to start with you, Bryant, because it's a good place to start. This is, it is not, regular AI that's just sitting out there for regular consumer use. We are talking about life sciences. We are talking about patients. Can you talk to us a little bit about the scientific direction of the AI and maybe a little bit of how we think about trust within that?
Yeah. So I'm going to take a slightly different angle on that. So reflecting on something I saw this weekend. I won't name the company, but it's a huge realty company. And they were really showcasing in a very elongated way their new AI platform. So as a consumer going out to look at homes, you don't have to go out. You can literally go inside the home, do an in-home review. You can say, can you move the couch over here, like using NLP, change the color, change the color of the walls. And I thought about it. I said, that's really cool. And thinking about that in the context of what we do on a regular basis, it's not about getting the shade of the paint color to your preference. There are real consequences. Some of those consequences can be, a black box warning. And so really getting it right from a scientific perspective really matters. And our clients come to us on almost a daily basis, and they're really honed in on the biomarkers. They're really honed in on the standardization of our data. They themselves are tackling data silos. So it's really important that the domain that we have the domain experience, and that we can generate insights and models that really are fit for the purpose of what our clients are doing from a scientific perspective.
Yeah. Before we started, Bob said, don't make this so consequential. So Bob, how are we building our AI that it is going to build trust and we are going to build confidence in the way that we've structured our AI strategy?
I mean, that's a great question. I didn't actually say it shouldn't be consequential. It's fundamentally consequential.
Right.
It's the whole reason why we're here.
Right.
I think the point I was making was that let's not start with danger. Let's start with opportunity, because we're at a moment of innovation and a moment of excitement in this field. But there is no doubt that what makes AI possible is the humanity that we bring to it. Right? The fact is that we need to encode humans in the loop. Historically, I think has meant a guardrail or something that prevents us from taking the wrong step. But we need to get to a place where we're encoding within our machines and within the intelligence that we build our software. I mean, I'm an engineer, so I think in terms of like doing that as opposed to a process of humans actually being a checkpoint. I think that ability to encode our judgment and morality into the software is something that we're getting closer and closer to being able to do.
It's understandable, but John, maybe I'll come over to you for this. I'm on my mission to stump you today. But we can talk about that, and I think Bob brought up a lot of really good points, but we still do hear, and I have a very hard time saying this word, but we still hear about hallucinations, right? And we still have this concern. So again, when we think about building, how are we thinking about repeatability and quality and accuracy of the data as we are, again, bringing this to something that is very consequential in life sciences?
Yeah, that's really near and dear to everything we do. How do we really instill that trust in our product and to our users? So I would say, I was asked this question also earlier today, but to see the one way to look at this is that the impact we generate, right? So for instance, in collaboration with BMS, we were able to demonstrate a surrogate endpoint that really shortened the trial from 12 to 18 months, finding a
18
strong...
months to 12 months.
18 months
Yeah,
to
there you
12
go.
months,
Okay.
finding a very strong association between a complete response and the final, the overall traditional endpoint, like overall survival. And the trial got accelerated FDA approval. So I think this is like, with the regulatory approval, that's part of the trust.
And I think that the proof is the continual confidence builder, the more that we can do that.
Yeah, but I do want to mention that how do we put guardrails, right, into the work we do? An example I'd like to share is our collaboration around the virtual heart. So the customer was asking us, if you take a hybrid approach between the physics-based, the finite element modeling to AI-driven approach, simulants, how do you make sure the heart you generate is not going to be somebody from aliens? So we took very serious.
I knew we were going to talk about aliens.
Talk about aliens eventually.
Here we go. So we have a 5-layer framework, but basically looking at how do we ground our AI in the laws of physics, biology, chemistry, biomechanics, and also we check that with actual population in the real world and clinical evidence. So we have a multi-layered framework to ground our science.
I think you just named every class I took in college. So this is,
So it's fair to say you didn't stump her.
Yes, I didn't stop her yet, but we're not done. We still got a little bit of time here. So I want to go back to the guardrails and pose a question I've been pondering myself is, we talk about human in the loop as a guardrail in a lot of ways, and the concept of building confidence. And I do believe that it's necessary as we jump off, but is human in the loop going to be required forever? Let's get a little esoteric here. Will AI become good enough, and will the confidence be there where we no longer need human in the loop?
You want to start with me?
I'll start. I was looking at Bob, and I forgot we were on film. So let's go with Bob. But I know Bryant has a response as well. And we'll get
I think I know your response. I mean, I've heard your response recently, and I think you should go second because I think it's got a powerful.
Sure.
It's got a powerful line.
Let's do it. Yeah.
I mean, I already sort of previewed my position on this, that human in the loop isn't a scale limiter. It's the thing that brings legitimacy to what we're doing. It's one of the things that brings legitimacy to what we're doing. You just gave a long list.
Before we get to Brian, though, I want to challenge, it's not a scale limiter? Like, in the time and the effort that we put into human in the loop, does that not, like, delay our scaling ability?
It depends on what you mean by scale. If the goal is to get to a good outcome, then no, it doesn't have to limit scale. It certainly isn't. There's no doubt that ethics can slow things down. You can go faster and get to a bad solution, but that isn't our goal, obviously. It's getting to a place where, like, the judgment that exists in clinicians and researchers and patients themselves is part of the autonomous decision-making process, and that in the same way that we're trying to endow our models and our intelligence with physics and biomechanics and all of the scientific principles, it also needs to be bounded with some of the philosophies of what we think fairness is and what goodness is.
All right. I understand that, and before Bryant tells us that we need human in the loop forever, though, but if we think about it, the reason that we are creating AI is because humans themselves are, fallible, right? That they are the ones who are oftentimes making the mistakes as currently. So does human in the loop fix that problem?
Well, it's fallible for now, right?
Yeah.
Today's failure is a foundation for tomorrow's success, right? No one ever gets it right the first time. But the foundation of my answer is that we're in the business of patients. Our mission is centered around patients, and therefore we cannot escape the human. The human is the patient in this case. So whether, like, if you just think about today, we have, we go out, we get one of those 1 out of 10 successful, products that does make it to market. Then what do? We do surveillance. those humans, they're humans who are still informing whether it's, SAS code or a model. Humans are constantly informing what we do. So from my perspective, it's just a question of which direction the loop goes. Right? Does it go back to a black box warning because, as we talked about, we failed somehow earlier and we missed something? Or are we immediately looking to incrementally improve on what is now the new standard of care? Looking at subpopulations, looking at biomarkers to make sure we really, have it right. So
Gotcha.
I'm looking at it from the patient perspective.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time here at Next with our customers, and I often ask them what does success look like when they're implementing AI, right? And I do get a very common response, which I think is a good one. We want to get drugs to market quicker. But that also seems like an extremely lofty and hard goal to achieve. So, Jai, as we're thinking about the areas where we can implement and find success, at least to start with, where can we focus in within clinical research or in the life sciences space where we can really start to achieve some of those builds and efficiencies?
Yeah, I think early today we talked about insight, simulation, and workflow automation if we want to kind of come down that level. I think insights, I talked about how to glean from historical data to get to the endpoint faster, but also it's about patient safety, right? So, for instance, for T-cell therapy, a typical trial, you only got 10 to 12 patients. So it's very difficult to understand under what condition the patient will go to severe adverse events. But with our historical data, we were actually able to find those predictors and take mitigative actions.
Gotcha. So through the simulation, the insights, the build, things that we saw on the main stage today, we can start to condense those timelines from the start, right?
Yes.
Cool. Now, Bob, let's zoom back out again, right? Because we want to talk about the intelligence, we want to talk about the orchestration. How do we start to look at this more end to end, right? To where we're not doing a use case by use case, but now we are truly using AI to run a trial.
Yeah, I mean, that gets back to, I think, the question of orchestration, right? And how we bring technology to that process to automate it in a way that brings together all of the other issues that we've been talking about. And the way that I like to think about that is this sort of wordplay of moving from intelligent orchestration that's all about humans building processes and defining an efficient way to conduct discovery, validate that, and make sure that that the treatments are getting delivered as fast as they can, but still ultimately a manual, linear, reactive process, to something that's more closer to what you saw Anthony talk about on the stage today, which was orchestrated intelligence, right? It's the same words, but flipping them gives it a different dynamic. And I think that's where some of the new AI tools that we're bringing to our platform can really shine in accelerating the ability of the system. We're not just building workflows manually. The workflows are being reasoned about by the system at the time that they're executing, and they're adapting and they're reacting with all of the science and ethics that we've encoded into them. And that is a pretty exciting place to be, and it will ultimately allow us to deliver, things much faster.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Putting it together, Bob. I want to go back. We're on a podcast here called Dreamers to Disruptors, so I want us to be dreamers for a little while. Like, I want us to maybe think about what is 5 or 10 years from now look like that maybe we're not talking about at the moment. But when you guys, we all work in AI, we all spend a lot of time talking about this. Like, what do you think the wow moment's going to be when you dream about where all this is going, Bryant?
Similar to where we were 5-10 years ago. I mean, in a different way. I mean, we heard this morning on stage from one of our speakers, the two things they want to see. They want to see, an increase, in the probability of technical success. Absolutely. What we're doing from an AI perspective can absolutely impact that. literally almost run a trial before you ever enroll a patient. There's so many things that we can do there. The other one, again, more patient-centered, is around, again, expanding the use of synthetic data. Like really, I mean, I was plugging away at this for, 8 years, the first 8 years here. We're getting there, I really think in the next, 5 years, we really as an industry have to, cross that threshold. And I think, and the difference is that I think back then, when I first started, I saw Josh, he's one of the people who interviewed me here. We were asking me questions about big data, right? Yeah. That was the big thing. Big data, right? And then it had the 3 V's, then it became the 5 V's. I think fundamentally, again, data is still going to be, at the core of what we're, the core in terms of the limitations as well as the opportunities we can realize. But, ultimately, I think what we're seeing from, seeing across the industry with regard to, folks coming out and really putting models out there to help really simulate what the true patient experience is, to the point where we can start reusing data or simulating the patients, again, before we even run a trial. I think that's ultimately going to be the big thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ja, I want you to dream big. Are we going to fundamentally change the way that clinical trials are conducted? What does it look like to you in 5 to 10 years?
Well, maybe even a longer horizon. I think maybe even go from sick care to health care. I think by the time we get to the disease, it's probably been incubating for 10, 20, 30 years. So the question is, can we go back to have really fundamental understanding of their biology and interaction with physiology, human body?
So more the intersection of life sciences and healthcare.
Life science
and healthcare. We want to
move
back into standard of care and be able to identify and treat patients early.
Yeah, part of this is like a typical clinical trial. I think is still not very accessible to a majority of population. So how do we really change that equation and find the source of care and health at much upstream than what we're doing now?
Okay. And Bob, dreaming big. What do you got for us?
I mean, I agree with everything I've heard up here about what I hope the future looks like. I mean, to me, it's just eliminating the drudgery in the process, right? Like, there's so much of what we do now. I'm a data guy. We spent the last several years at Medidata trying to build a better data platform, a way to bring data together, make it more accessible, more usable, like a world where you don't need to move data at all, and it's where it is, and you can use it in place. That's something that I think we're going to see become a reality in 5 years. It's happening now. Being able to apply models, being able to bring together the best of what our partners are doing and what we're doing dynamically and reactively, and to bring the quality of the signal up, but to also bring our ability to react to that signal in a moment where a patient needs it, I think is where we're going to be.
I think those are all really great points. I'll close us out by move myself to Disruptor. I think what's really cool is when we have this conversation, Pascal's on stage, I've heard him talk about it a lot, is that 10 out of 10 planes that they design fly. And, how do we get to the point that, 10 out of 10 drugs go on trial and are successful? And so I may not know the AI as well as you, but at dreaming big, like how do we use the AI to, synthesize the molecules, simulate the studies, build studies where we are planning for success, and really kind of making sure that we are not wasting time on, failed molecules, and really focusing on the treatments that are going to, bring the healthcare that those patients need. So I want to see AI get, really big and think about these things differently and not really be stuck in this milestone of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Yeah. But we're jumping right into it and know where we're going right off the bat. Yeah. So I think we are out of time now. So I want to thank my guests, Bob, John, Bryant. This was an awesome chat. And I want to remind our audience here that we will be back at this tomorrow. So please come join us on the podcast, or, you can fly to New York and join us here next. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.